The year is 2024, just about. We're heading into 2025, but Nintendo have just had their absolute magnum opus of a game launch, possibly one of their most successful yet, and I'm going to explain why. Nintendo have just released, a month and a half ago, this little beauty of a game, Pokemon Pocket. Pokemon Pocket is the Pokemon trading card game, but digitized. And this has brought up a whole load of discussion around it, as well as an absolute massive fan base that's exploded from it, myself included. But there's a few problems with this, but there are also a few fantastic points to touch on with this. Now, the reason I'm covering this is because of a problem that I've noticed in the game industry, and not so much in the digital game industry, but the digital game industry is definitely contributing to this problem and accelerating it to a point that I think we're reaching a point of no return with it. This really is one of those your time is now old man memes. Pokemon Pocket TCG is Nintendo's latest release, and it is their latest Pokemon game. At least it probably will be for the next 3 weeks until something else gets just shot out of the ether and into the eyes of all the children. Christ, that didn't sound good. Now, I want to point out how genius this is from a kind of financial standpoint for Pokemon, because what they've done is something that I expected them to do a very long time ago, and they just didn't. This game is using all of the artwork from the physical TCG. You know, artwork that they've had for the cards and everything since day zero. And they've finally decided, why don't we just put them onto a digital TCG and add in, you know, a few new card arts and, you know, leverage technology that you couldn't do in the physical world, such as immersive cards, where you can hold down on them and it takes you into a 3D scene of the card art, which is fantastic. It's really cool. And I've been thoroughly enjoying this. Now, what makes this such a genius move for Pokemon is cost. Their cost of development on this is allegedly incredibly low. Like, we're talking sub 1 million to develop. Yet, this has raked in over $200 million in just the first couple of weeks, with just the first set of cards. And boy, is it going well. It's not slowing down. They, in fact, just released a mini set to follow on, and that has apparently raked in hundreds of millions as well. Now, they've not publicly released all the figures, but it is estimated that they have made over $500 million already off a game that cost less than $1 million to make. What the hell? So we're going to dive into some of the genius around this. We're going to dive into some of the really big problems with this that I hope are fixed, and that I hope don't set a precedent for the rest of TCGs across the lands, both physical and digital. And yeah, we're going to just take a bit of a deeper look into that and discuss what this means for the future of these sort of games. But first of all, a quick word from the sponsor of today's video. Christmas is over, and let's be honest, none of us want to be stuck cooking over New Year's. That's where HelloFresh comes in. Not only do they make mealtime stress-free, but they're also giving you a free breakfast for life. Yep, you heard that right. One free breakfast item in every single box for as long as you are subscribed. That's one less thing to worry about in the morning, and trust me, it's a game changer. With HelloFresh, you'll get access to over 50 dinner options and 30 plus calorie smart and protein smart recipes every week. It's perfect if you're looking to reset after the holiday indulgence or just want to switch things up. Everything comes pre-portioned and packed with fresh ingredients, so there's less waste, less hassle, and way more delicious. And let's talk flexibility. HelloFresh is made to fit your life. Whether you're craving quick and easy meals or planning family dinners, you can easily customize your boxes to suit your schedule and preferences. Skip a week, change your delivery day, or mix and match meal plans, because life happens, and HelloFresh gets it. So why not make your new year a little easier and tastier? Start your year off right with free breakfast for life and a box full of fresh, pre-portioned ingredients that make every meal a win. Thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video. Go to the link on screen or linked in the description and use my code UPTONDEC10 and receive 10 free meals plus breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active if you're in the US. The link and code are valid in all countries and the respective local discount will apply. And with that said, back to the video. So, Pokemon TCG Pocket launched and it was everything that everyone expected it to be. It was the physical TCG, but they noticed a few problems. There were a few changes that were made from the physical TCG, and honestly, I welcome most of those changes. For starters, they dropped the deck size of a Pokemon deck from 60 cards down to 20. And at face value, that seems cool. They're going for faster paced, quicker games. You know, basically you can be sitting on the toilet, you know, dropping the kids off at the pool and play a game or two. And that's great. It works. Fantastic. But there was a problem that I saw with this from day one, and a few other people saw this and knew that this would become an exponential problem, especially as new cards are released. The main problem being suddenly dual type decks don't work anymore. You now have such a limited amount of cards and space in this deck that you can't build these multi-type, you know, like fire and grass decks that are kind of like a Swiss Army knife with multiple kind of win conditions built into one deck. This means to build a strategy into your deck, you kind of have to commit to one color type and maybe a little bit of another, but it's built around one color type. And the problem with that is, because you're match made against other players completely at random, well, if you match against the type that beats your type, you're pretty much screwed. And it just feels bad because you can't build in a win condition to counter your counter. And that kind of super deep strategy of the Pokemon TCG is gone in a way. And there is now just a win condition that is down to pure luck, for the most part. Now, that goes hand in hand with another problem. First of all, I want to say, it may seem that going from 60 cards down to 20 is an absolute cataclysmic shift in the way that this TCG works, but they've actually removed energy cards from the game. Energy cards now just plop. They appear as a little bubble in the corner and you can drag them on. You can pick what energy types you want in and they're generated at random at the start of your turn. Fantastic change, because I think that's something that in TCGs that have like an energy cost, it's kind of been standardized to the point that it's very formulaic and you always use the same approach with every deck, or most of them, right? So it's kind of like a non-choice that you still have to include in your deck. And I guess I understand why that was never changed in the physical TCG, but in the digital, it makes sense to do that. So you're only really losing about 20 cards, not 40. But it's the next problem that a lot of people have now started to realize, because the release of the second set has accentuated this problem so much that I don't know how they're going to deal with this going forward. But I think it's something they're going to have to, because it's causing a lot of problems. Now, in the physical game of Pokemon, you draw your opening hand, and if you've not got a basic Pokemon that you can play, you reshuffle and discard one card, right? Until you've got a playable hand. To avoid that in Pokemon Pocket TCG, you are guaranteed to draw a Stage 1 Pokemon in your opening hand. Now, this means that decks that have a 1-stage or 2-stage evolution combo that you're going for, you're actually rewarded for putting less Pokemon into your deck so that you are guaranteed to draw a good Pokemon in your opening hand. And this has gone all the way down. This was a race to the bottom. So there are decks such as Articuno EX. Articuno EX is a Stage 1 Pokemon, which means you can draw that in your opening hand. And you want to draw that in your opening hand, so you only put those Pokemon in. You put 2 copies of that Pokemon in, you are guaranteed to draw it at the start, and you've basically got a deck that can just blitzkrieg everything that you come up against. And the way this works is by taking trainer and item cards and just cramming them in your deck to fill up the other 18 slots. Now, during the release of the game, when there was only one set, this wasn't such a big deal, because there were only, I think, pretty much exactly 18 trainer and item cards. So you had these rubbish cards that you didn't care about and some other cool ones that, you know, they were useful, but they were just all there to fill out the deck. Well, the second set released, and now people can go with these 1-card decks and fill out the remainder of it with trainer and item cards that fit the build they're going for and that work around those 2 cards that they picked as their Pokemon. And this has spawned a load of decks where some people are just coming in with 2 Magikarp and 2 Gyarados, for example, to just get that out turn 1 and turn 2 and just win. So the development of decks going into tournaments now is less about Pokemon and more about items. And it just feels wrong. It doesn't feel good. Now, I'm hoping that they kind of fix this to make Pokemon about Pokemon again, by putting in a minimum Pokemon limit to the deck. Like, you have to have at least 6 Pokemon cards in the deck before you're allowed to fill the rest out with items. I think that would work. It's not an ideal workaround, but Who knows at this point? I've got no idea. This is all just a problem that revolves around the way the game works, right? And this brings me on to my next problem. And trust me, I'm going to get to the good parts of this because I do really like this game. In fact, this is the only mobile game that I have got hooked on. I have avoided mobile games since Pokemon Go. And I played that for a while and I had fun with it through the, through the summer of lockdown and whatnot. I had a great time with it. It was really fun. But this is the first mobile game since then that I have actually got hooked on. And yeah, as you can see on screen, I've almost completed both the sets. And yeah, I have spent a bit of money on the game. I've mostly played it free, but I have spent some money because I enjoy it. I think it's worth spending some money on because it's fun. But this is the next problem. And this is the one that makes me worry for other TCGs in the future, because we've already seen this happen with any TCG that has gone from physical to digital. And that is, they are still labeled as TCG, trading card game, yet there is no trading. Now, before people, hold me at the stake, I just want to say, I know there is an option on the home screen that says trading coming soon. Now, other TCGs online don't have trading. Magic the Gathering, you can't trade cards, and that just feels bad. That feels like the element of collecting, it just isn't there. There's no reason to collect because there's no way to trade and help with that collection. However, Pokemon TCG is actually, it's kind of a multifaceted app. It's a multifaceted game. Yes, it is all about battling and, winning card games. But it is also, in equal part, about actually collecting. You've got the experience of tearing the packs. It's fun. It's just like the real thing. Slotting them into the binder to fill in gaps, and then actually just collecting the Pokedex, pretty much. So it is, in equal parts, a battling game and a card collecting game. So it works. I think it's really fun. And they've said that trading is coming. However, people who have been data mining special bits of the upcoming updates, as well as bits of the UI for the upcoming update, have ran into something that's kind of not great, if this is how they end up introducing it. Because again, they've not publicly announced how any of this trading is going to work. It seems that, one, you are going to be limited with how much you can trade every day or every week. There will be a limit to how much you can trade. You can't just freely trade. And then on top of that, it seems that you're going to have to use a currency in-game, which, again, all currencies in-game currently can be substituted with real money. You're going to have to use that as a payment to trade, which, again, already feels bad. You already own these cards. They already own those cards. Why can't we just trade them? And to add insult to injury, it seems like you're not going to be able to freely trade your Pikachu for a special art Zapdos or special art Mewtwo. Because they've all got these rarity symbols, it seems like you're going to have to potentially trade a card of equal rarity for the other card, and then you're limited how many times a day you can do that, and then you still have to pay to do that on top of it. And again, this is not confirmed, but from data mining and looking at some of the code that is there, it seems that that's what they're going to do, and apparently that's how it works in Pokemon Go, so it is incredibly likely that that is how it's going to work. And that just feels bad. It does just feel bad. And again, money is the motivator for this. We all know this. It's very evident. And I mean, I can't blame them. It's an absolute money printing machine. But for me, it's something I found quite sad, because I have always enjoyed playing physical TCGs. I love it. I've avoided digital for as long as possible because it doesn't match up with the feeling of sitting around a table with a bunch of guys or girls, no gatekeeping here, at a local game store and just playing some Pokemon, playing some Magic the Gathering, playing whatever, right? It's fun, it's cool, it's a nice experience. And then at the end of the games, at the end of the day, having a bit of a trading session, helping people flesh out their decks that they were working on that weren't quite as good as yours, that you beat them, and you want to help them flesh out their deck. That kind of camaraderie that this TCG space has built is kind of seeping away, especially in the UK. I know that in America, the TCG scene is massive. You've got local game stores everywhere. Like, you can't walk down a street without bumping into 10 different ones. And I've been there. I know that. I know that's the case. But it doesn't work that way in the UK. In the UK, TCG shops and like local game stores are just vanishing left, right, and centre. London, there's still quite a few. In fact, I'd say it's going quite well in London. But everywhere else, they're just vanishing because it's for one reason or another that I can't really explain. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons. But this means that people who enjoy the physical TCGs and prefer that experience can't really do that anymore unless they drive 3 hours to another town or city to go there and participate in a game night at a local game store. And I've had some friends that I've gone with, and we've got to a TCG night where maybe 10 people have shown up. You get about 3 games in, and then that's it. You've done a 3-hour round trip for that. And that in turn means less people go to these nights, which means these stores shut down. And it kind of sucks. So for me, it's a really conflicting thing of whether I think digital TCGs are helping or harming this. And I think they're doing both in equal parts. But I don't want that to take away from the absolute raging success that this game has been. A lot of people have brought up the whole child gambling thing because yes, you can buy packs and open them and give them the rip treatment, crack some packs. And yeah. But of course, I couldn't mention that without saying it's exactly like the physical TCG. Like, exactly like it. And I know that recently there's been a lot of scrutiny around gaming and gambling due to like CSGO, CoffeeZilla's recent videos, which are phenomenal, by the way. You should go and watch those. They're actually very interesting. But I feel that this whole trading kind of 3 layers of restriction in trading in a TCG is just the embodiment of you will own nothing and you will be happy. It just feels like more of the same. I guess what I'm saying is it just doesn't feel good. Because I feel like this could be one of the next big tournament games from Pokemon. Because it is actually a competitive game once they fix the kind of Pokemon deck limit issue. Yeah, I just wanted to chat about that today. It's something I've been playing a hell of a lot of, and I've been having a lot of fun with it over Christmas, and I hope you guys have too. I've actually been playing a lot of it and chatting with people in my Discord about it, and some people even joined and started playing after I talked about it. So we've been doing some community battles, and I actually want to start doing some proper community battle nights in the Discord. I think it'd be fun, run some mini tournaments. I hope you guys have been having a fantastic Christmas so far, and you go on to have a fantastic New Year. I was having a fantastic Christmas until I slipped with a bread knife and almost cut my finger off. Don't do that, I guess, is what I'm saying. As always, a massive thank you to the patrons, and until next time, take care.